Thanks for joining me here on Tropical Weather Impact. It is Monday, July the 14th here from New Orleans. We are tracking the latest from the National Hurricane Center here with maybe a potential depression or storm trying to form this week. By the way, the next name on the list this year is Dexter. So could future Dexter be forming? It's a possibility, although the Hurricane Center not completely sold on this just yet. They are still calling for a roughly 30% chance that we do get tropical development out of this here in the next couple of days. So here's where we stand this morning. The disturbance itself is sitting east of Florida. This is currently a surface trough of low pressure. That just means an unorganized area of showers and thunderstorms with some weak low pressure and some weak wind shift in it. Now this is going to be traveling west the next few days. It'll pass over Florida between today and tomorrow, and then by Tuesday night this surface feature will be in the Gulf, and this is when it has a better chance of trying to organize. Now it is looking like it's trying to organize some this morning, but we'll see what it looks like once it emerges over here in the Gulf by Tuesday night through Wednesday, and then by Thursday, whatever it may be, whether it's a weak low pressure, a depression, or maybe even a named storm, it's going to be moving up towards Louisiana. Now, there is plenty of uncertainty in the forecast right now based on, well, that it's just an area of showers and storms. And so we're kind of in this wait and watch phase to see how it tries to consolidate, and does it even try to consolidate. Now, right now, the zone where we could see formation is anywhere from right along the coast to well south, maybe into the central Gulf. Now, if something were to try to form closer to the coast here, that's less time over water, and that means that would probably limit further intensification. But if something ends up trying to spin up down here further in the Gulf, it'll have more time over water. The water is plenty warm right now. The wind shear is weak, and we'll have a solid 2 days to see something try to organize and strengthen. And so that's why a named storm is not out of the possibility at this point, and meaning it is possible that something does try to become named with this, or it becomes a tropical storm. Now the chances again are only 30%, but those numbers, we're just kind of in this wait and watch phase. If this thing looks like it's trying to organize more and ahead of schedule, let's call it, that number will probably have to go up if that is the case. Looking at satellite this morning, we've had a fairly persistent area of showers and storms through the overnight hours. I just checked the winds here, the surface winds with our satellite. And so far, it looks like things are still somewhat elongated. We have winds coming out of the north here, and then you have winds coming out of the south here. That's your surface trough of low pressure, meaning your wind switch directions. Now, this is the beginning stages of something if it is trying to become a tropical system. So it still has today. It's out right now somewhere near north of the Bahamas. Here's the Bahamas. There's Freeport. There's Miami, and there's Orlando. So this is going to slide this direction. And over the next day or so, it will, at least today, it'll have a chance to try to organize some. But as it passes over Florida, that will stop its any signs that it's trying to organize, and then it emerges back over the Gulf here Tuesday night, and that's when we could see it try to organize even more. Again, the water temperature's plenty warm. You know, this time of year, you don't really think about the Gulf being unhospitable to tropical system with regard to water temperature. So that's a given, but things are really warm. Look at this little area of pink is where our water temperatures are closer to the upper 80s and even low 90s. So water temperatures are rocket fuel at this point. But as we know, there's a lot more that goes into tropical formation than just warm waters. You've got to have low wind shear, and you can't have a lot of dry air around. Now, the environment that this disturbance is moving into actually looks fairly impressive or decent for formation and some strengthening. The limiting factor could end up being how much time, and so the time could help us out here. Again, it may not have a whole lot of time to actually do the strengthening here as we get you into the end of the week. So water temperatures are warm, wind shear is not going to be that high as it enters the Gulf. All this is an indication that we could see some organization. When you look at our models here, the big GFS and Euro models, those are our two big ones that we often show you on TV here. They're not overly aggressive with this blowing up into a tropical storm or a hurricane. Now, there are some scenarios and some model guidance that do show this becoming Dexter as we head into Wednesday and Thursday and then moving into Louisiana. But again, the big GFS and Euro models are not very aggressive with that. I will caution you, the two models here you're looking at are often going to struggle with systems like this and strengthening them. They'll sometimes keep them weaker than what they actually are and keeping it somewhat messier. Now, that's going to be a rainmaker for Florida at the end of the day, but what really happens and what'll be interesting is what happens when it enters the Gulf here by Tuesday. Here we are Wednesday. It's sitting whatever it may be south of the coast. You can see the American model in red here kind of has a couple areas trying to spin up. That's showing it's rather unorganized in that model. The European model has something a little bit better organize off the mouth of the river by Wednesday evening, and then continuing to slowly drift into Louisiana or along the coast here as we go through Thursday into Friday. And so again, this is not going to be in a hurry to move as it approaches Louisiana, and that's why heavy rain could end up being the biggest threat. Regardless of a name or not, heavy rain is going to be a problem somewhere along the northern Gulf here. A lot of that's going to depend on the exact location, how much this thing organizes, all these factors that are still a bit hazy. And so there's plenty of uncertainty with how the impacts unfold here, but this is certainly something to watch. Again, Hurricane Center only giving it a 30% chance, but looking at the environment that this is going to be in, if we can actually get a core or something trying to consolidate, it's kind of off to the races with this thing. The good thing is maybe it won't have enough time over water to really strengthen into anything significant. So right now the concern level for a hurricane is rather low. The concern level for extra flooding rains is a bit on the higher side with this type. What we're looking at now. All that moisture, it's tropical, it's coming our way, and so for today and tomorrow, that moisture is mainly over Florida. Once we get into Wednesday, though, you see here's the big area of tropical moisture moving towards Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. This will be the beginning of the moisture moving in, and then we will be watching for that tropical moisture Thursday into Friday, even into Saturday and Sunday. It's a possibility. The problem with this could just be how slow moving this thing ends up being. And so not the best setup here when you're talking about the flood risk. So that's going to be our main thing we're watching out for. At least that's what's standing out to meteorologists right now with this type of setup. So why is it doing these motions? Why is it coming our way and then slowing down? Well, you look at the steering currents. Right now, the ridge of high pressure is mostly centered over New Orleans here for your Monday and Tuesday. But as we fast forward, you can see the ridge begins to elongate and get stronger across the deep south. So at this point, this would be, let's go back to Thursday here. The steering currents, they're there until about Thursday into Friday. So this would be as that feature, whatever it may be, is sitting about right here. It starts to turn around the ridge, but then the ridge builds ahead of it. And so we call that, it's blocking it off, and the steering currents begin to collapse. And so when you look at this type of setup, you've got a tropical feature underneath the edge of this ridge here. There's not a whole lot steering it. There's nothing to help pull it either way. And so you're just going to see this tropical moisture begin to pull and sit along the northern Gulf. Now, whenever you're talking about steering currents stopping with a tropical system, it also throws a lot of uncertainty in the forecast evolution of where this thing could go, where the heaviest of the rain will be. We've seen this with past storms before, where a storm will be coming our way and then the steering currents slow down, and that's when you get these chaotic movements here. A slow-moving storm that is weak is so hard to forecast the impacts. There's so many different wrenches that can be thrown in the forecast, and that's why I'm cautioning you that there's probably still going to be some fairly significant changes in the forecast depending on where you are. And we don't know those changes just yet, but it wouldn't be shocking to see some big changes in the forecast throughout the week depending on how this slow-moving system evolves across the area. So that's one of the tricky things in this forecast too. One, it hadn't formed, and two, steering currents are going to be slowing down as it moves towards Louisiana, and that complicates the forecast even more. So we've got warm water, we've got low wind shear. What about dry air? Well, right now there is still some dry air on the northwest side of where this trough of low pressure is. So maybe that's why it hasn't been too active just yet. But let's put this in motion. The greens show moisture, the browns show where you've got a lot of dry air. And you can see there, as we go back and put this and stop it on Tuesday, this is one of the models that's not really aggressive with developing, but you can see there a lot of moisture surrounding this envelope or this surface trough, and so dry air probably not going to be a huge limiting factor here. And so again, if this feature is far enough in the central Gulf, has more time over the warm waters, that means it would have a better chance of maybe actually trying to become a named storm here. If it's a little bit closer to the land here, you've got some land interaction that would probably limit its ability to, and its time to become a named storm here. So that's going to be one of the limiting factors we watch out for. I do think this is going to be a big rainmaker at the end of the day. Again, these numbers will change. Do not lock this in, but it shows you kind of the thinking here with where the heaviest of the rain is going to fall over the next 7 days. So first up, it's Florida. They're getting the heavy rain today and tomorrow. Meanwhile, we're still getting scattered storms before all this in New Orleans, just your summertime storms. But as we head towards the end of the week, that tropical moisture really builds in. And again, I do think coastal areas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle are going to be the prime spots to really keep an eye on this. Back towards Texas, things do not look as active, at least with the current thinking. Now, with that being said, if this thing does become a depression or a storm, things could still change. If If you live anywhere along the northern Gulf, you probably want to keep an eye on this and see how it evolves. Thanks to, once again, those steering currents starting to weaken, that ridge building in, it can start to change things up. And so anywhere from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, all keeping a very close eye on this as we go throughout the week. Our concern level is still on the low side, but you can't turn your back even on a weak system. We've seen with previous storms this year that even the weak ones can cause massive flooding problems. We'll have to see how this one plays out, and we're going to update you daily as we head throughout the rest of the week here. But that's where we stand as of our Monday morning with tracking this tropical feature. We will have these all week long for you right here on WWL Plus. We'll also have them on YouTube, wherever you're watching me. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I will see you right back here tomorrow with the latest update.